What is good, Cardano fam, ADA gang? We have lots of exciting updates to unpack today, so hit that subscribe, hit that like. Cardano ADA 24-hour trade volume surpasses $700 million according to CoinGecko. Crypto researcher Justin Bonds says Cardano has the decentralization, governance, and size to win me over. Fixed cap economics might be another point of contention unless ADA's fees can prove that thesis wrong in the meantime. Now, Justin Bonds has been more and more pro-Cardano and recently defending Cardano with the chain split incident, alongside Solana co-founder defending Cardano and many more. And he goes on to respond to Charles Hoskinson, says, if you are so sure that Cardano will scale, then you can consider me a future ADA supporter now. Charles responds, says he's 100% sure and shares Ouroboros Leios, which will make Cardano's Layer 1 60 times faster and will ship next year. Input-output group, November development highlights are here. 6 new projects building on Cardano. Plutus and Icon scripts activity up. New node 10.5.3 improved stability and a few more updates. Notably, I really like the 24/7 Leios development tracker. I think that's fantastic. Kraken, yes. The announcement came sooner rather than later. Trading for Night token starts December 9th, 10 a.m. UTC. Very good, and eligible Glacier Drop recipients will see Night credited to their Kraken accounts. Very good. Another one, KuCoin now supports Night as well. Great to see. We're going to see a lot more exchanges. HTX now supports Night as well. Another one, NBX. Now, I think they made this announcement a few days ago, but they will also list Nights a few unique pairs with USDM and EUR. Trading starts soon, and lo and behold, Binance Wallet. Now, this isn't the full spot listing on Binance, but I think it's the foot in the door, and we'll probably see that very soon. They say Binance Alpha will be the first platform to feature Night token on December 9th. Eligible users can claim their airdrop using Binance Alpha points on the Alpha events page once trading opens. Further details will be announced soon. Now, what is Binance Alpha? Well, according to Google Gemini, Binance Alpha is a feature within the Binance Wallet that spotlights early stage, high potential crypto projects, acting as a pre-listing pool for tokens that might eventually list on the main Binance Exchange. So again, it's likely that we will see Night token go on Binance for a nice spot trade listing. Now, hopefully we'll see Crypto.com, Coinbase, and many more. What about the DEX side? Well, Minswap says that Night token is now verified on Minswap. Trading goes live tomorrow, December 9th. Make sure, guys, that you're verifying the token ID. Be safe. There's going to be so many fake tokens, so be very vigilant. DEXHunter says that you'll be able to trade Night directly on Cardano's biggest DEX aggregator, best rates, highest liquidity in one place. FluidTokens to launch instant Night lending and borrowing, complementing its Bitcoin and Cardano integrations coming very soon. Some great updates again with the podcast with David Gokhshtein and Charles. Charles says Midnight's selective disclosure and rational privacy enables businesses, medical records, supply chains, money, and central banks to exist on a blockchain. In many ways, this is the first protocol, Midnight, that's useful. He goes on to say that if you allow people to stay where they're at, but still query Midnight like ChatGPT, where you don't build your own AI system, similarly, privacy should work that way. That's the key. That's what we tried to build. And he often makes an example with an API that just works and it continues to update in the background. Very easy to use, cooperative, can plug in with hybrid applications with the ecosystem. Charles says every 6 months we can make that magic privacy black box better, faster, cheaper to use. Add more privacy technologies like multi-party computation and homomorphic encryption. Builders get extra stuff to do. dApp developers just get extra things, just like ChatGPT. Charles says once Midnight starts, no one has any incentive to compete. It already works. with Ethereum, Solana, etc. People already have those tokens, right? So why would you build your own Chat-GPT? It's a waste of time and money. You can do what your app does for better, faster, and cheaper. Charles says advanced provability, like recursive snarks or folding, for mobile to have the same level of security as a full node needs a proof stack. CIP 133 and others came as a result of Night, making Cardano more useful on mobile. Charles says, let us worry about privacy because we have an army of cryptographers, worked with 168 scientists, wrote 250 papers, have labs at Stanford and other places, an army of engineers, and know all the privacy people. The research pays off. I think of Microsoft with quantum computing and whatnot. It is important to do the research. And not in every industry can you go just quick, right? Fast and break things. And we definitely saw with the Nakamoto proof of consensus how important it was in the incident. Charles says life has a private side and a public side. The private side, you should be in the driver's seat about how people know stuff, when they know, how much they know, and the level of disclosure. This system is holistic and natural. Pretty based statement. Charles says you can put DAOs on it, actual true dApps, real government applications, voting systems, all kind of things on Midnight. We designed it to be useful to everyone. Network effects are very sticky. So expanding upon that, people like their existing ecosystems. So this way it can plug into them, use their native tokens, their underlying assets, and provide value. At the same time, giving a competitive advantage to Cardano. Charles says, what matters to people is black box GPT. Question go in, answer come out. And ChatGPT got 800 million users in 3 years. There's no product in history that's gone from 0 to 800 million in 3 years. Why? Because it's so simple. Less is more. We talk about that, right? UX design, easy to use, solving problems, generating positive emotions. Charles says if you figure out the cooperative equilibria and have really good cooperative design, you get network effect and everybody else's network effect. Everybody has an incentive to work with you. That's what makes Midnight unique. Charles says we launch the whole network and then every 2 months we can open up a different arm, do Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, BNB, and have a bunch of launch partners and other things to showcase hybrid applications. Charles says, if I want dApps on Cardano to be different from dApps on Ethereum, we make them hybrid dApps. So Cardano and Midnight with privacy. We can have the first private DEX, the first private prediction market, stablecoin. That's different and competitive. Unique advantage. Everybody's talking about Midnight, a great post by Matera Protocol, almost 10% social dominance. Taking a look, it's more than Zcash, XRP, and Solana, maybe even USDC in there combined. So at the end of the day, Cardano is commanding a lot of social dominance and mindshare. We know that even without looking at metrics. Guys, I want to give a thanks to Midnight for welcoming me to the Midnight Ambassador Program. So I just got the email today and I'm very excited. Going to do my best to deliver Fuego, Cardano, and Midnight news. Let's do our best to take this to the next level. Let's supercharge it. So I'm super excited and very honored and delighted and thankful to be a part of the Midnight Ambassador Program. So I have joined that. Super happy, very stoked. Thank you to Midnight. Solana says 589. Now, XRP guys, no. I mean, look at the engagement on this. 2.4 million views in less than 24 hours. Now, 589, of course, is an XRP meme. And speaking of XRP, I want to give a big thanks to Paul, who hosted the CoinZone. CoinZone had me on to discuss the strengths and synergy between ADA and XRP, from Charles Hoskinson's support for XRP Ledger and Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz to RLUSD and Cardano's goals to bring DeFi yield and Lace Wallet to XRP. And so fantastic conversation with Paul. It's about an hour long and it's just a great listen. It's linked below in the video description if you guys want to check it out. The full stream is on YouTube. What else is going on? Watcher Guru says CFTC launches crypto pilot program for tokenized collateral in derivatives markets. Top US bank CEOs to meet with senators to discuss crypto market structure legislation. Sounds Clarity-esque. White House advisor Hassett says President Trump will announce huge positive economic news. Take it with a heaping grain of salt, of course. Tom Lee's BitMine buys over 138,000 ETH worth $435 million. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says stablecoins should work better for international payments. I don't know why I'm having a laugh. I like that Jamie Dimon's been more supportive of crypto. It's kind of like these things are obvious. We know, it's clearly evident in the words of Charles. The number one utility for real world assets are the tokenized bills. And if you can move them freely and dollarize the world and expand US dollar dominance, but at the same time having less friction, 1 + 1 does equal 2. Thank you, Jamie. Michael Saylor's strategy buys over 10,000 Bitcoin worth nearly $1 billion. So smart money is buying. Michael Saylor says he's been meeting with sovereign wealth funds, banks, and fund managers to discuss Bitcoin. Finally, Argentina to allow banks to provide crypto services in 2026. Hopefully they don't list that meme coin, Libra, Voldemort type beat. I mean, obviously not, but we got to give a throwback to that rug. ADA 433 looking good. Little pumps and little like lower lows. I know that the people are like, no, it's done. I saw one post, he's like, man, it's completely done. Market's done. But if you take a look at October's liquidations, which were worse than like FTX and whatnot, when you look at sideline capital, secondly, when you look at like precious metals, which have been peaking, which are often like a sanctuary investment when people, there's a lot of like uncertainty, exorbitant amounts of uncertainty in terms of being risk on. When you take a look at Clarity Bill around the corner, there's many reasons to be bullish than to be bearish. Often I don't hear a really good thesis for being ultra bearish. And that's just my perspective. Of course, you're free to share your perspective and where you think crypto is headed from here on. But I do think that we'll likely see something very optimistic to the upside for Bitcoin, especially for ADA. ADA is very close to our 2022 lows. Even XRP. A lot of these alts, I feel like they've just been suppressed. And with the sweep of ETFs around the corner, and with retail not here, and my brother shared something great with me this morning. The search results on Google Trends for like bear market and just like really negative searches in terms of like bearishness and this and that were reaching like all-time highs very recently. So often it's good to probe emotion. And that takes me to my next point of sentiment, saying that Cardano is extremely undervalued. So I do think that many assets are undervalued, not just ADA. There's many altcoins. And I'm optimistic that we're going to see some movement to the upside. It might not be immediate. It might not be, weeks. It could take months. But I'm still optimistic that a lot of the capital is going to flood into crypto. And I think that the Genius Act played a big role, but especially the Clarity Act is going to be the catalyst, which Charles agrees as well. Q1 2026, I think, will shape up to be very exciting. I want to give a big shout out to our boys over at Kraken because the announcement came sooner than expected, and we're likely going to see a lot more exchanges as well. Which exchange do you think will announce support for Midnight next? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Smash that subscribe, smash that like. I'll see you guys in the next Angry Crypto Show.